Hi everyone, my name is Yunes, and this is going to be a brief video covering the basics of low to mid-level cleric healing in Rift. I picked up the game on Steam recently, and immediately went to YouTube to look for a basic how-to on cleric healing. But everything I found was either for endgame content, or was made before the release of Storm Legion, and consequently out of date. So I figured if such a video doesn't exist already, I'd try and make one. I'm an experienced healer from other MMOs, and despite being new to Rift, I was able to apply much of my knowledge from those games to this one. By no means am I suggesting that this is the best way to heal, but simply what has worked for me until level 40 or so. If there's a better way to do something, please let me know in the comments. I'm going to break this video up into three main segments: my build and spells, my UI settings, including add-ons, key bindings, and macros, and how to put it all together in a combat situation. The Cleric calling has several souls capable of healing. I chose Sentinel as my primary soul since I found it the most straightforward and familiar, using direct heals. Purifier, Warden, and Defiler are all capable healing souls, but since I haven't played any of them extensively, I won't discuss them in any further detail. The build I heal with uses Sentinel as its primary soul for its powerful single target heals, Purifier as its secondary soul for shields and buffs, and Warden for one particular low-level spell I'll mention in a moment. I'll briefly go over the main abilities you'll use as Sentinel Healer, but if you don't have a particular spell yet, don't worry about it, you probably don't need it yet. By that, I mean you won't need a cleanse spell until bosses actually start casting debuffs, and you won't need an area of effect heal until bosses actually start doing AoE damage. I'll go over every spell first, then explain how I keybind them and actually use them in combat. Despite focusing on the Sentinel soul, your most useful healing spell at low levels will be Healing Spray, which is unlocked simply by selecting the Warden as one of your 3 active souls. We get this spell for free just by choosing Warden, but don't think that it's weak just because it's free. Healing Spray is a low mana cost, instant cast heal over time spell that does a small amount of healing over 15 seconds. It should be active on the tank at all times, and should be on all party members anytime you expect damage. Another spell that you will learn to love is Symbol of the Torch from the Purifier trait. This is an instant cast shield that you can place on any party member to absorb a substantial amount of damage. Keeping Symbol of the Torch and Healing Spray on your tank will be enough to keep them topped off on many trash pulls. The spell you get from 4 points in the Purifier tree is Healing Flare. This is a spammable small heal. It's instant cast and has no cooldown, meaning you can use it on the move or just to top off a DPS that got hit once or twice. Your most powerful spammable heal will be an Invocation. At lower levels this will be Subtle Invocation, and later on you will unlock the more powerful Healing Invocation and the even more powerful Crucial Invocation. All 3 of these spells have moderate cast times of 2 to 2.5 seconds with a medium to large size heal, depending on the invocation. When you actually have to cast a direct heal on your tank, it'll probably be an Invocation. For the time being, your emergency heal will be Healing Breath, which does a large amount of healing, but it's on a long 8-second cooldown. This is instant cast, so you can also cast this while you're on the move. In the mid-20s, you'll get a spell called Healing Communion, which is an area of effect heal that hits for a moderate amount on 5 party or raid members. This will be your only AoE heal for a while. The final 2 important targeted spells are Cleansing Prayer and Empowering Light. These are single target and AoE cleanse abilities, respectively. Cleansing Prayer is spammable, while Empowering Light has a 10-second cooldown. Next, I'll briefly go over the cooldowns available to a low-level Sentinel Cleric. An important cooldown you get very early in the Sentinel tree is Touch the Light. This ability reduces the mana cost of your next healing or absorption spell and makes it instant cast. This is very powerful in conjunction with your invocations. The 45-second cooldown of this ability can be reduced through talents as you level up. Your second important cooldown is called Healer's Covenant. This is a defensive cooldown that reduces incoming damage to yourself. Use this in PvP or if you pull a healing aggro and an ad start beating on you. Another cooldown you get at mid-levels is called Healer's Haste. This simply speeds up your cast time for the next 5 healing spells. This is useful if your tank or your raid is taking a lot of damage and you need to spam one of your invocations or spam your AoE Healing Communion. A fourth important healing cooldown is Flashover from the Purifier tree. This guarantees that your next heal will crit. This is exceptionally useful along with Touch the Light, since both of them are off the global cooldown. Since mana is not a problem at low levels, I'm not going to discuss mana cooldowns. I also won't bother going over buffs in this video since there's really no choice there. Just make sure that you use all of them, and don't forget to buff your party members. Since I'm a new player and still relatively low level, my UI and keybinds are still a work in progress. So I apologize for all the on-screen clutter you probably see right now. However, I feel that my setup is functional as is, so I'm willing to share what works for me so far. There are only two healing macros that I use. The first is my oh shit button that casts both Touched by the Light and Flashover. Quickly hitting this macro twice allows me to cast an instant, guaranteed crit heal. I use this in conjunction with an invocation when the tank or a DPS is about to die, or with healing communion when the party is taking a lot of damage. It's also useful if you're on the move and need a big heal while healing breath is on cooldown. The second important macro requires you to set your tank as your focus. You can do this by targeting the tank and then typing /focus in chat. This macro will apply a symbol of the torch on the tank no matter who you're actively targeting. It's also really useful if you're pocket healing somebody in PvP. I rely on a 5-button mouse and an add-on called Mere Healing Frames. If you've ever used Healbot or Click and Grid in World of Warcraft, you'll find Mere Healing Frames very familiar. What this add-on does is it lets you bind abilities to your mouse buttons, allowing you to heal simply by clicking a player frame using the appropriate mouse button and any modifiers you may choose. While this way of healing is often derided as playing whack-a-mole, it's undeniably effective and it's still easy to pick up for new players. There's another add-on similar to Mere Healing Frames called Clickbox Healer. That was recently updated, but I haven't had a chance to check that out yet. How you specifically keybind your spells depends on your personal preference, but I've gotten comfortable with the following layout on my Logitech MX518 5-button mouse. I bind Healing Flare to mouse 1 and Subtle Invocation to Shift mouse 1. I bind my big invocation, which is Healing or Crucial Invocation, to mouse 2, and I bind my AoE spell, Healing Communion, to Shift mouse 2. Healing Breath, which is my big emergency heal, is bound to mouse 3. Healing Spray, which is my small heal over time spell, is bound to mouse 4. And Symbol of the Torch, which is my shield, is bound to mouse 5. One thing you'll notice is that all my spammable spells are on either mouse 1 or mouse 2, and spells that I set and forget, so to speak, are on this side of my mouse. While I have all my main heals and absorbs bound to my mouse, I have all my cooldowns bound to 1 through 4 and the keys surrounding WASD. So now that I've gone over the spells and how to bind them, let's put all that together in an actual boss fight scenario. This is the last boss of Deep Strike Mines, and it's actually one of the more challenging encounters you'll face at low levels. Before I start the fight, I make sure that all my buffs are up, then I shield the tank with Symbol of the Torch and roll a healing spray on him. Since I know this boss tosses out quite a bit of AoE damage, I try to make sure that there's a healing spray on everyone. A DPS pulls Snap Aggro early and gets beat on, so I blow Healing Breath on him. After moving out of the boss's AoE myself, I make sure the party's topped off and roll new hots on everybody. As the tank starts to take a little more damage, I spam Healing Flare to keep him topped off. If a DPS stands in the AoE too long, throw an invocation on him. After that, it's just rinse and repeat. Make sure the tank is shielded, don't stand in AoE, and use your targeted heals as necessary. To sum it all up, healing is a combination of predicting damage and preparing for it, and reacting to existing damage. I know I've gone over a lot of spells in the past few minutes, and I'm sure it's really overwhelming, but the only thing that'll get you comfortable in a healing role is to actually go heal. Don't level as a DPS and then decide to try your hand at healing when you're level 60, because you'll have way too many unfamiliar spells and you won't know what to do with them. Try healing a dungeon every couple levels to familiarize yourself with the tools at your disposal, so that when you run into a boss that actually requires your best effort, you'll be prepared. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I sincerely hope I was able to make cleric healing a little less daunting for new players. This is the first time I've ever made a video guide of any kind, so I'd love to hear any comments or criticism you have. Good luck out there.